For this video, I would like to do something different. Personally, I love to read the text written in Antiquity. The Iliad and the Odyssey are among my favorite books, losing only for the Lord of the Rings. I don't know exactly what it is, but these texts have a certain poetry and beauty that I don't find in books from other eras. So I decided to do a series of videos reciting and analyzing texts written during ancient Egypt. If you like this idea, don't forget to tell me that in the comments, and of course, like and subscribe. As my last biography was about Snefru, I decided to read you a text that speaks about him. These tales come from the Westcar Papyrus, a document named after the adventurer who discovered it. It tells us 5 histories about magical wonders. The first, unfortunately, was lost, and the third speaks about Snefru. The copy that we have date from the second intermediate period, but the text had existed since the Middle Kingdom. Let's read it and see what we can interpret. Snefru was one day disconsolate and weary. He wandered about the palace with desire to be cheered. Knows what air off to take the gloom from his mind. He caused his chief scribe to be brought before him, and said, I would fain have entertainment, but cannot find any in this place. The scribe said, the majesty should go boating on the lake, and let the rowers be the princess ladies in your harem. It will delight your heart to see them splash in the water where the birds live, and to gaze upon the green shores and the flowers and trees. I myself will go with you. The king consented, and 20 girls who were fair to behold were into the boat, and they rowed with oars of ebony, which were decorated with gold. His Majesty took pleasure in the outing, and the gloom passed from his heart as the boat went hither and thither, and the girls sang together with sweet voices. It chanced, as they were turning round, an oar handle brushed against the hair of the girl who was steering, and shook from it a green jewel, which fell into the water. She lifted up her oar and stopped singing, and the others grew silent and ceased rowing. Said Snefru, do not pause, let's go still further. The girl said, she who steers has lifted her oar. Said Snefru to her, why have you lifted your oar? Alas, I have lost my green jewel. She said, it has fallen into the lake. Snefru said, I will give you another. Let's go on. The girl pouted and made answer, I would rather have my own green jewel again than any other. His Majesty said to the chief scribe, I am given great enjoyment by this novelty. Indeed, my mind is much refreshed, as the girls row me up and down the lake. Now one of them has lost her green jewel, which has dropped into the water, and she wants it back again, and will not have another to replace it. The chief scribe at once muttered a spell. Then, by reason of his magic words, the waters of the lake were divided like a lane. He went down and found the green jewel which the girl had lost, and came back with it to her. When he did that, he again uttered words of power, and the waters came together as they were before. The king was well pleased, and when he had full enjoyment with the rowing up the lake, he returned to the palace. He gave gifts to the chief scribe, and everyone wondered at the marvel which he had accomplished. A fascinating tale, but what we can interpret it. The first detail that catches the attention of most people is the similarity of this story to Moses. However, there is no evidence that the Hebrews were inspired by this tale. Some historians interpret this history as a criticism of royal power, because King Snefru is represented as someone who has no initiative. I do not agree with this interpretation. The next story, King Khufu and the Magicians, contains some criticism, but they are very discreet, and Khufu himself has a lot of qualities. I think that the aim of Snefru and the Green Jewel is not to criticize the king, but to idealize the scribes who work for him. Let us not forget that this papyrus was written during the Middle Kingdom, when the idea that a king was the center of everything and the only source of power was outdated. After the first intermediate period, royal power depended heavily on an elite of scribes and officials. So, it is no surprise that a text of this period idealized a social class so influential. The second tale tells us the story of a scribe who was being deceived by his wife, so he created a clay crocodile that he brought to life with magic to trap the true lovers. The king only appears at the end of the story to punish both. There is no direct criticism of the royal figure, but the hero of the story is once again a scribe. And even if the first story was lost, we know that it spoke about the reign of Djoser, and probably had as protagonist the idol of all scribes, Imhotep. The Westcar Papyrus is one of the few written sources that tell us about the Old Kingdom, and because of that, many historians try to find in these legends the memory of past events. But, due to the fact that this text was written centuries after the life of their protagonists, it is unlikely to find that. However, this text shows us how Egyptians saw their past, and that our idea that they idealized their kings is much more nuanced than we once believed.